Today we're going to learn how to put a screen on a window and learn what not to do.
Now the pressure washing just totally messed up these screens, and from a distance, especially when the sun gets on them, they look exactly like that. This looks like just a screen, but inside here there's a kit. I should be able to get these both screens with this one kit. This kit cost me $9. Comes with this spline and this spline pusher. All right, now that I got everything taken out of the package, what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this old screen. Now I have this tool. This is what I saw being used.
Without the spline, the screen comes out pretty easily, so I did that. The other thing I did is I gave this thing a good cleaning. The key to make this a successful installation is to make sure to tape down this frame. That's really important because you don't want the frame to move when you're trying to push in the spline into the screen. The other thing is you also want to tape down the screen. You want to create tension along the screen so that doesn't move as well. You want the spline to go in and you don't want that to skew the screen during the installation process. All right, I'm going to use the curved end of this hook to go around the corners. All right, there's two ends of this pizza cutter tool. One end has a concave side which fits nicely around the spline, and that's the side that I used. All right, this may be obvious, but it's nice to have the spline in front of me. It installs much better and much easier that way. All right, I was having some resistance issues where they use these little plastic tabs, there's two of them. I was having a little extra resistance where the spline goes in, so I just had to go in there with my tool and push it in.
So I think this is a fairly new blade.
What I found with most projects, it's nice to use a brand new blade. A dull blade just makes things a lot more difficult. Okay, with the blade, what I'm doing is just trying to remove the excess of the screen. And by doing so, I'm putting the blade against the side of the screen frame and just cutting the excess off. When I finally figured out to hold the screen and the frame with tape, everything went smooth and the project was complete. All right, here are the failures. I pretty much had to do this thing 7 times before I finally got it right on the 8th. All right, what I realized is why they recommend using about 2 inches of excess length of screen around the edges, because this thing just kept on giving me troubles. What I finally had to figure out is I just needed to secure the frame and the screen with tape, and that made things a lot easier. My last reject was everything went well. I used tape, but what happened is I used a short portion of spline and it just didn't go all the way around, and here's a little end and that's where it stopped. By the way, the second frame went perfect, no issues.